Good morning. I'm Maggie Larimore. I work for the Alvarado Zingroni Institute for Research and Education here in Second Life. Second Life is an immersive world. It's like a computer game, but a little more serious. And everything you see around me was built by its residents, unlike a lot of computer games. It's owned and operated by Linden Laboratories in San Francisco, and more than 400 universities and colleges and institutions and tons of corporations and even more individuals make their home in here, living and working and playing in a variety of different ways. I'm going to show you how immersive worlds, such as Second Life, can be used for education in our discipline. Hang on, here we go. I'm standing in one of the auditoriums on Isti Island. Isti is the International Society for Technology and Education. Some universities, some teachers, will build an auditorium like this and do a conventional lecture by having a podium on the stage, having a place for the speaker on the stage, and having a big PowerPoint board that you can show. You can show a PowerPoint just like you would in a regular classroom. There are other ways to do education in Second Life as well. Hang on and we'll go see some. Some universities use active education. Students come into Second Life and complete tasks that are part of the requirements for their courses. I'm standing in front of the hospital at the Imperial College London. In a second I'll show you what's going on inside. We're going into the respiratory therapy ward. In this section, which was built to mimic a real respiratory therapy ward in a hospital, a student comes up to this board and they get their badge. Their badge allows all of the other things that are going on in this area to recognize them. And you'll see that they have 5 patients listed. The students have to get their badge, wear their badge, and then ask permission to see the patient. Then the student will go into a respiratory ward room where there's a patient in a bed. I'm not going to click on this person because they won't talk to me. I'm not a student. And they would click on information about this patient, the patient profile, the chart up on the top of the wall that lets the student listen to the sounds the person's lungs are making when they breathe. They can go over to this area and use the various tools that they would use in real life to investigate the ailment that the individual has. Once they've done that, they can go over to one of the special rooms that are set up with results for each of these diagnostic tests. And over here you can see we have a peak flow test for Miss Patel, a spirometry test for Miss Patel, and for an oxygen saturation test. And all of these things are used by the students to make a diagnosis. When the student is done and they think that they really know what's going on with this particular patient, they write up a final diagnosis and they drop it in this file cabinet. This is a very active way for a student to become involved in a simulation that is related to what they would do in the real life job they are training to hold later on in their careers. This is an active education setup here in the immersive world Second Life. Now we're going to go see a passive one. Hi, we're standing on the Virginia Society for Technology and Education's island. They have set up a passive education site that allows people to learn about Jamestown, which was one of the first settlements in North America. Behind me are the ships on which the settlers came to the United States, which wasn't the United States then, came to the shores of North America. And then beyond these fences is a depiction of the Jamestown settlement itself. This took the folks at Isti a long time to put together, but it's really interesting and can be used as a site for a virtual field trip for a classroom with a teacher who's just using a laptop and a whiteboard. There's a number of buildings here. There are buildings that are lodging, and all over this little area there are these I buttons, and you can click on these I buttons and up will come on the screen, you can see it at the left hand side and the bottom of the screen. Up will come information about what this was used for and who was the person at the time who used it. This is called passive education, and I'm going to show you one that's specific to our field, to parapsychology, a little bit later. It's called passive education because you can come in here and wander around, interact with what's here, and read information cards on who lived here, when this was established, and what's the history of these buildings. There's a lot of these passive education sites in Second Life, including an old version of Springfield, Berlin in the 1920s. Just everything that you can think of is here. So now we're going to go look at a parapsychology site. The Alvarado Zagroni Institute for Research and Education, also known as the AZIRE, maintains two passive education sites in Second Life. Here we are in the location of the AZIRE Library in a province on the Second Life mainland called Mangualde. That bookcase that you see way behind me there is full of articles in English that are freely available on the internet. A student can walk in here, click on one of those covers, and up will come a link to the PDF of the article or to the article on findarticles.com, and they can read some of the most recent information in the field. I'm going to walk around a little bit so you can see this is still under construction. Over here on this side, we have a similar bookcase filled with articles available in Spanish, and there'll be articles available when we're finished in Italian, German, French, Portuguese, and probably Danish and Icelandic. And then there's spaces around here for a little bit of play too. You can have a cup of coffee and you can have a cupcake, and eventually the second floor up here, let me walk around so you can see it. The second floor up here is going to be full of artworks and links that go back to the art galleries of the community in which the main AZIRE Learning Center exists, called Chilbo. We're going to go over there right now. Now we're standing in the AZIRE's Learning Center in the Chilbo community on the mainland of Second Life. Because this is an immersive world, I can build anything that I want in here that conveys information to students of parapsychology. Since we opened this Learning Center in August of 2009, 793 visits have been logged. On the wall behind me, you see a changing PowerPoint that has an introduction to parapsychology. Also on the wall behind me, but to the right, there's a YouTube viewer that allows people to come in and sit down and watch YouTube of the Scientist of the Month. What I'm doing is trying to give you an idea of what can be done in other ways. Online education in parapsychology or in any discipline can take place through a web conferencing software, through static web pages, through Wikispaces, through PBWorks, which is a Wikispace aggregator, through a lot of different ways, different delivery systems basically for the information that the students want. And then there is also virtual worlds, and Second Life is one of them. There are many others where you can set up tasks and informational displays that allow people to learn more about the discipline that you wish to teach, and about the information that you think new students and new researchers need to have. And it's a great place to build tasks like the Imperial College London did for students in a course. They can come in, do a project, build something, learn something, display something, do a simulation that's similar to the kind of work they'll be doing in their real life when they finish the degree or the program or the course. And there you go. They've got a way to get involved with the material and learn something. There's a lot of research out there about immersive world education and tons of conferences on all the time. The virtual world best practices in education is one of the biggest ones. There's a lot of benefits to using an immersive world. It keeps today's computer savvy and computer game savvy students happy and interested and involved and engaged in the materials that you're trying to show. So this has been our tour of a little bit of web-based education in Second Life, with a little bit of an emphasis on what can be done for parapsychology in Second Life. So I hope you enjoyed the blog that this was filmed for, and thank you very much.